call you Mr. Green. Something I didn't forget your other name. Somebody named
Kalada Green.
Kalada Green. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's so wonderful. Whether I'm invited or not.
Please come on.
Excuse me. You're very particular about your gender. Whether I'm invited or not, there's something the millennials do. We crash. So we're going to crash it. Let's go have fun, guys, on the 2nd of August, Now University. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you, Doctor.
We'll go for a short break. We have yet another interview. This time we're discussing diaspora contribution to our political history. We'll be back after that.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we will realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
The welfare of millions of people for generations to come may be affected by the wisdom which we here display. If Nigerian leaders and our British partners are to prove themselves worthy of their trust, now is the time for us solemnly and truly to dedicate ourselves to seeking the greatest good of the greatest number of our people in Nigeria. Independence for Nigeria in 1960 is imperative. But independence for Nigeria as a corporate entity is not enough. The peoples of Nigeria must at the same time be guaranteed their freedom. We must ensure that in an independent Nigeria, individual citizens throughout the land enjoy liberty, human dignity, and equality under the law. There must be one Nigeria with one constitution and one law for all. Let us therefore, Mr. Chairman, sir, close our ears to the counsel of despair, which says that we cannot here at this conference agree on a constitution. If there is any doubt among us as to what should be written into the constitution, let us, as Democrats that we profess ourselves to be, refer such problems, as the goal has done recently, to the people whom we profess to represent either just before or at the federal elections late in 1959.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio.
Our first efforts at democracy and self-government were abruptly arrested in the mid-60s, largely as a result of the incongenial atmosphere engendered by the uncompromising stance adopted by the political parties of the First Republic. Thus, opportunities were lost for our people to interact and learn to accommodate different points of view for the betterment of the country. We must not allow that episode to repeat itself. The new system that we have adopted presents us with yet another opportunity to achieve national integration, which is a prerequisite for the building of a strong and virile nation.
As a free state in 20th century Africa is the need to revive the stature of man in Africa and restore the dignity of man in the world. Nigerians believe passionately in the fundamental human rights. We regard all races of the human family as equal. Under no circumstance shall we accept the idea that the black race is inferior to any other race. I appeal to all our leaders, far and near, to forget the wounds which were inflicted in cause of our internecine altercation. The love of our country should outweigh the love of our petty selves. The enjoyment of individual freedom under the law should mean more to us than our self-centered party programs and manifestos. Common dangers and common enemies alert us on the need for common security. Come and join Abubakar with me, Sadauna, Awolowo, Akitola, Ofarebe, Okpara, Ikoku, Aminu Kano, Ibrahim Imam, and Taka. Let us bind the nation's wound and let us heal the breaches of the past so that in forging our nation, there shall emerge on this continent a hate-free, fear-free, and greed-free people who shall be in the vanguard of a world task force whose assignment is not only to revive the stature of man in Africa, but to restore the dignity of man in the world.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that very short break, but it's time to go get that conversation I told you about. We're talking diaspora now. Diaspora contribution to Nigeria's politics, diaspora contribution to everything. We've been discussing remittances, foreign direct investments, but what do they need? How can they also contribute to the happenings here? I have two gentlemen in the studio, fantastic gentlemen who would get into that conversation. But above everything, there's also an event they are organizing. It's the 5th edition of the Diaspora Africa Conference. We'll also get into what's happening in that conference, how you too can participate, and the value you will get from it. We have here Prince Godswill Edward. He's the founder of Prince 7 Youth Initiative, my own Prince. Yes, he's a regular here on the show as well. So good to have you again joining.
Good to have you too. No, it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. We also have Ambassador Eze Chukwu, the convener of the Diaspora Africa Conference. We talked about it shortly. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here today.
Yes. First of all, I mean, you are coming in from the US, and we've been having agitations and advocacy, and a lot of people have been talking about how we can improve improve contributions of Nigerians in diaspora to Nigerian politics. When you look at how it is now, I mean, we just, after the general elections two years ago, what came to mind? What's the lacuna you found?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me over here today. It's an amazing time to be in this environment. I had the Aso TV and the Aso Radio is really located at the central part of the country here in FCB,
and a
Abuja.
Beautiful landscape, by the way.
Yes,
Not to brag.
Yeah. So actually, Nigerians in the diaspora and basically Africans in the diaspora, they are beginning to look back to Africa to look into different ways that they can help to develop Africa, and politics is also one of those areas that they also want to be actively involved in going forward. And we have these conferences, we have this society, community, ecosystem that we're trying to build that will help drive those conversations. And as we speak today, we're going to be able to make sure that we have conversations around how to improve our political atmosphere, how we give people rights to vote, why should we participate in electing our leaders in Africa. So it's something that is of interest for the diaspora.
Right. And Prince 7, you've been working with young people. You've been talking about youth inclusion in politics and inclusion basically in politics. Does it embarrass you somewhat that we are at this time in our political history where even though we enjoy so much remittances from our brothers abroad, we do not have a structure where they too can vote, they too can contribute tangibly to our political process?
You see, one of the major problems we have today is leadership, and I always say that at every point in time we have acquired a problem, but must engage that problem with a solution. And then if you look at our political history, Nigerians have always produced young people in leadership. Most of our leaders today who are leading us presently have been involved in this leadership process when they're quite very young, and they understand the value of youth energy. When they were younger, they did better than what they are doing now.
Absolutely.
The tech world controls the world, the technology. And you see that if we have diasporans who are contributing to our national economy by virtue of knowledge economy, by virtue of their experiences financially too, all the contributions of diasporan companies in structured environment, place that is functional, and most of them are doing very well in the various endeavors in the various countries of our board, and they're doing a whole lot. They should also be involved. I know that many times the INEC keeps discussing on ways to see that people can vote for the diasporan community, but I feel that if the right policies and check and the right technological advancements are being implemented, there should be that Nigerians should feel like Nigeria, whether they are home or abroad, as long as they are contributing to the development of our continent. And it's also time for most of them to come back home, not coming back, come back home and contribute, contributing in building other nations. So far, we can also be involved in the building of Nigeria. Nigeria is still very big in terms of development. Just being up the hill and I'm looking around, the center point of Nigeria, I'm looking at the landscape, beautiful, and free and empty land still available. So it shows you that we have a landmass, not just for agricultural purposes, but for real estate, but we can also do a lot of factories, innovation, we need job creation in our continent.
Absolutely.
And the diasporan community have been very involved in seeing how things operate and how things run in a society that is very cultured. So we should bring that ability back home. And the excellence of the African Diaspora Conference to see that the diasporan community begins to see the Africans at home through synergy and through conference, networking, through networking, and can have actual trusted allies where they can leverage and build business partnerships together. So it's strictly creating an opportunity for conversations, between diasporan community and home, and Africans at home at the same time look at what they are doing and how they can come together, leverage and build strong networks.
Ambassador Eze, I told you I was going to put you on the spot like that. You came in here, you found the place so beautiful, and you asked why not much is happening up this very beautiful hill. It shows other landmarks like this that are not celebrated. So when you come into the country intermittently like you do, and you see so much potential, I'm talking about Aso first, of course. You see so much potential, so much more we can do with the beautiful monuments that we have in tourism, in hospitality, and all that. How does it make you feel, and what do you leave Nigeria charged to do?
Yes, as an African ambassador, and also an ambassador of African diaspora. Okay. You have two sets of the diaspora Africans. We have the continental and the historical African diaspora. And looking back here in Nigeria, the topography. When I look back here at the Aso TV, Aso Radio view from the mountain, it reminds me of California. It reminds me of Hollywood, where whenever you go to Hollywood, it's heavily celebrated, and we don't get to celebrate some of these things that we have. Driving up the hill was really an amazing experience. I was a little bit scared, but the car made it up to the hill, and when we got to the hill, the air only is quite different. And each time I engage with people of African descent, especially African Americans, people from the Afro-Caribbeans who really want to come back home, I keep telling them that this is where our skin breathes better. This is where our body feels better with the food, with whatever we have here is all natural food, and it's an opportunity for us to enjoy what God has given us. We are black people. We have, God knows the reason why He made us stay over here in this part of the world, and this is where our skin is well fitted. This is where our body works better, and we can't just live what we have here. It's time for us to come in and help develop what we have so that we can enjoy it. Whenever I come to Nigeria, I come to places like Abuja, I'm thinking about what is the tourism potential. Just this here only is a tourism spot. So there's a lot of tourism that we can bring in from the diaspora over here to help develop the place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of buildings coming up. If you put up a drone up and look at the view of Abuja, I doubt if you see any place that's as beautiful as this in the entire world. Like the mountains, the hills, the rock, it's great view over here. And look, if you're still out there in the diaspora and you've not visited Abuja, please, you're missing a lot.
You're missing a lot. Now let's get to this conference. I mean, it's exciting. The theme is Beyond Borders, Uniting the Diaspora for Africa's Investment. That right there piques my interest, because we've been talking about foreign direct investment. However, there are fundamental issues African governments have in enabling environment for some of these investments. We are so quick to want to attract. There are corruption issues, there are processes, bureaucratic processes that are, for crying out loud, not necessary. And it sometimes, I've reported and interviewed some who say, I had these good intentions, I wanted to come in here, but I got frustrated by the system. So I think I'll start with you. You are a principal part of this conference as well. What gives you confidence that Africa is ready for the kind of investment we are trying to pull?
See, one of the problems is that when you look at, a system and a process to that system, you realize that the only way you can be able to break through any difficult wall is consistency.
Right.
Now, this is the fifth edition of this conference with consistency. We've done two of them in the US, one in Zanzibar, Tanzania, another one in Accra, Ghana, and now we're doing Kenya. From Kenya, we're heading to South Africa. One of the great things is that the intentionality, the energy, the passion to say, regardless, we can't give up on our continent. Despite the bureaucracies, if you look at Rwanda today, in less than 24 hours, you can really start a company and do a transaction in Rwanda, because they've been able to create that technological ability where you can do most of your taxes, most of the things you can do them online. And if you look at Nigeria today, our systems are not like it used to be. 10 years ago was quite very difficult, but every day we are getting more advancements. You can do a whole lot of things. You can register on CAC without the need of a lawyer, on business registration, because those things are available now online. So we must continue to see how we open up the system more, and then we cannot give up. We believe that the African diaspora has a whole lot to offer the African continent, and we are not looking for anyone to build that continent for us. We have to be the ones to build it, so that it can be better, enough for us. We have built a whole lot of organizations. We've been involved in the building a whole lot of countries around the world. There's nowhere in the world you can find Africans in organizations and they are doing well and surviving. So if we can survive in every continent in the world, then it means that we can actually come back home, build our home, and regardless of processes. Yes, we know that sometimes bureaucracies can be very difficult, but the governments, even at the level of the national, the federal, and the level of the states, have also created opportunities where investors can actually come and invest. And at the same time, we have seasoned businessmen who are doing very well. So we can as well do partnership and leverage. So it's easy now for you to say, oh, I'm into this in my country, and I'm into this in any part of the world, and I'm doing well. And I have someone I know who's also doing the same thing I'm doing in African continent, and I feel that I can build leverage and partnership with in the real estate, agriculture, oil and gas, whatever sector you feel you want to go into. There are a lot of sincere black people here at home doing very well in terms of their business, and you can build leverage from. And you can as well come back. We're looking for investors. We need to create jobs, and you don't just create jobs by just mere talking. You create jobs by ensuring that there's investment promotion, that the right channels of investors coming in, because as much as we create more opportunities for businesses to function, though, there can be more opportunities for job creation, and because government can't do it alone. So we call on, we're not going to give up. We're passionate about it in terms of our advocacy, that's why we're here, using the same platform to continue to speak to people, to get involved. Get involved. Kenya is going to be a blast.
Right.
Get involved, and let's continue to build up conversations. Probably you have your own conversations, you have your own questions, you have your own ideas. The essence of the conference for us to sit down in a round table, discuss solutions, discuss ideas, discuss challenges, and see how we can build leverage and synergy.
Ambassador Eze, I would like you to also respond to that. What gives you confidence when it sometimes looks so bleak?
So I'm having hosted this conference in 4 different countries. I started from Houston, Texas in 2023, and I went to Zanzibar in 2024, and in August of 2024 I also went back to Accra, Ghana, and February this year we're also back in Houston, Texas. and this is the 5th edition going to be coming up in Nairobi, Kenya. And we are confident that the passion that is around development in Africa supersedes the compensation that we've been thinking about. And we have started creating structures around real estate, bilateral entrepreneurship, agro-trade, oil and gas, solid minerals. And these are areas that we've identified that are key areas that will help drive this development. And there's this organization that I will represent that is also our partner. It's called African Continental Real Estate Listing Services. And this is an initiative from Lawford and there's Gerard, who are actually from North Carolina, but they came back to Africa and they started this initiative in Ghana. And I just mentioned this because look at how the real estate is booming here in Abuja. It's an area of investment, and we're trying to get a structure around how we'll list these properties, right? And I was talking to a friend of mine that works with FCDA yesterday, and he mentioned about a place that we all grew up in, Umuahia, and he said, in Umuahia in Abia State, when we were growing up as little kids, we had an area called New Layout. And the New Layout area is an area where you have the Azikiwe Street, you have the Macaulay Street, and those areas are well planned and well organized. And before then, we had the federal low-cost housing estates that was built also by the federal government, very, very well organized estate as it was then. Today, I've been driving around a whole lot in Abuja, and I've hardly find estates that are very, very organized like those estates. This was done many, many years ago. And when you look at it, it's either is lacking in infrastructure. People just come and say they have lands for sale. They don't have documents on that land. Everybody says don't invest your money because you don't know whether it's FCD approved or it's America approved. There's a whole lot of chaos in the real estate. There's no comps. There's no comparisons to be able to determine what the appraisals are for those real estate listings. So because we identify these active pains, we are looking at ways we can bring in the diaspora to come into and create that structure that we need to drive this development. Remember, those coming from the diaspora, they are coming from an organized society, and they expect to also see organization over here for them to really feel at home, right? So creating these structures around the development is what we need to do to make sure we get and enjoy the diaspora coming back here. Because look, you can't go to the airport and you're not, having a good environment to get a coffee. You're not, trying to take a bus and then the bus is not comfortable. You're not trying to go to a sightseeing and you're scared of security. So some of these things are things that we need to put in place, and we have to put them in place for the diaspora to be able to thrive here in Africa.
Is there a reason why Nigeria has not been the destination for this conference?
Oh, a whole lot of reasons why. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Because the diaspora, we need to make sure Nigeria is a very peculiar market. There's a whole lot of bad press around Nigeria, and sometimes the media makes it a lot, and it tends to scare away a lot of people from the diaspora, like you just mentioned, that their funds might be mismanaged. So we waited for Nigeria to really grow and get ready for those investments, because if somebody is trying to buy a property in Abuja, he doesn't want to give you money and they say it's FCD approval or it's America approval and you're having issues validating that. By the time we create central systems that will be able to coordinate this, because other countries that we've been to, they're doing great with that, especially Ghana. Ghana, if you go to Ghana today, they have Ghana Real Estate Development Association. You need a buyer's realtor, you need a seller's realtor, you need a closing title agent company to be able to issue real estate transactions. But we don't have those structures here in Nigeria. Everybody that I've met since I've been in Abuja is either a realtor or a real estate agent, and that's not a structure. We need to establish a structure around real estate in Nigeria for us to be able to benefit from that. And looking at other countries, like we're going to Kenya, Nairobi. Yes, Nairobi had a little bit of crisis, but you could see it came down because of tax that was put up, and then activism that happened. But when you go to Nairobi, you'll be able to understand how organized they are. You have real estate structures. First things, you need to put infrastructure, put good roads in there, put electricity, put water, let people, put banks, put hospitals, put schools around there. You'll be able to see it. And that's why we are going to different African countries to, first of all, understand how they are welcoming the diaspora. The Ghana did the year of the return. And don't get it mistaken, the Nigerian Diaspora Commission is doing a great job also. as they are going to host the Nigerian Diaspora Day tomorrow and next tomorrow here in Abuja, which is one of the reasons why I'm here. And we're trying to also start having conversation on how we can make it comfortable, because the moment the African diaspora heads to Nigeria, is a wrap. The West that's the end of the West, because we have the growth, the highest GDP in Africa, and we have the highest population, and this is the hub. So we are waiting for Nigeria. The moment we get the other African countries in alignment, in Ghana you can get citizenships. There's a bill in the House of Assembly today about the Nigerian citizenship for the diasporas. Is also in the bill is out there now. So we are doing on the ground work to make sure that we get Nigeria. Of course, I'm Nigerian, so I'm also representing Nigeria in all those African countries. Remember, it's one Africa, one unity, and we all want to remain as one. Thank you.
Okay. And so how does it make you feel? Okay, go back to you as to how, for people who want to participate and all that, but how does it make you feel when you hear that he is waiting for Nigeria to be ready, to be in that place first, before he can pull the diaspora
down? To be very sincere with you, there's a little bit sentiment I have about that. I think Nigeria is quite ready, but like I said, people have their own various opinions, and yes, to an extent, probably the fact that, he's Nigerian, and the fact that, when Nigerians want what is worth doing is worth doing well. So it's also important, not just to concentrate the energy on Nigeria. We believe that, yes, Nigeria is the giant of Africa, but we believe that some certain African countries have been able to create a niche for themselves. And some people even within the African continent in Nigeria who do not believe that they can also take some investment. So we're trying to say, I personally believe in promoting African continent. As an Africanist, I believe that Nigerians can do invest, Africans can invest in various African countries. We don't need to wait for investors to come out of the continent. In as much as we want the diaspora to come back with investment opportunities, come back with more awareness and more strategy, we also want to see between ourselves at home, how can we interconnect and then have the African trade agreement going on? Because there's already trade agreements. So how can Africans trade amongst themselves, create business opportunities within themselves, and also get some little bit of sample opinions, and so that when it's time to organize African Diaspora Conference in Nigeria, you better look here. Like
it will come in a bag.
It will come in a bag in a bigger way, and that we've been able to go round to, and then so there's that acceptability that we can bring the whole African continent into Nigeria at the appropriate time. But for now, we're focused on developing opportunities across African countries, creating leverages, and also picking the brains of Africans and seeing what power of unity we can achieve from the organizations of such conferences.
Okay, so 7th to 9th is this conference in Kenya, and according to you, some of the issues that will be addressed is the real estate and infrastructure, fintech and digital economy, agro trade and food security, healthcare and wellness, African identity and global unification. I mean, that's everything, if you ask me, really. But who are your target participants or attendees, and what should they expect?
So this is a very, very important conference for any Pan-Africanist who wants to engage actively with Africans in the diaspora. And you can see we have our keynote speaker, the Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, who is the president of P.L.O. Lumumba Foundation, who will keynote this conference to have conversation on how we should come united as Africans beyond the borders that we've been created by colonization. We want to also be able to break those borders and make sure that there's inter-trade and between African countries. So that's why you see we are focusing on real estate. In fact, African identity is very, very important. A lot of us seem to forget that we're Africans. We seem to want to copy what the West does. We have things that are unique about us. When I look over here in Nigeria and I look at the diversity in Nigeria, when I see people from Idoma, from Igala, from the Igbo tribe, from Isekere, from Efik, from the Yoruba, from the Igbos, from the Hausas, I see people of diverse culture that are one. And the strength in diversity, and I keep telling people they don't even understand what that means. I enjoy the wear hat that is like an Hausa man's hat. I like the wear hat that looks like a Yoruba man's hat. I enjoy wearing one that looks like an Ishekiri hat. It makes me feel happy that this is part of the culture we have in Africa. Right. When I go to Ghana, I enjoy to wear their hat. When I go to East Africa, I like to wear the Maasai kind of dressing because that's what I love. It's Africa, that's who I am. So when you go to an African event like the Diaspora African Conference, you're going to meet people who really love their skin, who love their origin, who have done exceedingly well in the diaspora, who have interest back here. I have series of people that have confirmed from the United States. We have David Washington, who's coming from Fort Lauderdale. We have Queen Asa, who's coming from North Carolina. We have Pastor Esther Obasike. Pastor Esther Obasike is a Nigerian who is in Ghana. She has a woman empowerment center that has built about 5,000 acres of land, where she's building a woman empowerment center in Nairobi. She has her husband is the owner of the biggest Redeemed Christian Church of God in East Africa, and she's a strong ally in Kenya. So you can see we are encouraging intra-African, coordination, like Prince just mentioned. If you are in Nigeria, you can go to Zambia, you can go to Sierra Leone. You have a Liberian coming, Kennedy SG, who wrote a book about generational shift. There's a lot of opportunity. We have people coming from the city of Houston, where I live, to be able to be part of this trade also conversations between Africa and the United States. So there's a whole lot that you get in this conference. Unfortunately, we don't have it online. You need to get into the flight. We have, and if you go to our website, www.diasporaafricaconference, you will be able to see more details about blogs, about we have Kenya Airways. Kudos to Kenya Airways. They also give us a huge discount code, and they're sponsoring the conference in Kenya. And those are the kind of things we are talking about. If we have airlines in Kenya who is supporting an African initiative, that is one of the reasons why we're going to Kenya, because Kenya Airways has said, oh, we're going to give you great promo codes, and people are coming. There's a whole lot of influx of people coming from Nigeria. We have Prince Edward, we have Charles Ndodem,
we have me.
We have Joy is coming, also coming there. So it's a lot of opportunity for you to be there. And of course, they have the amazing park. Nairobi is the only city in the world that has a park as big as that in the city. And when you go to the National Park of Kenya, you'll be like, oh my God, is this the city? We're so blessed in Africa. When you go to the resort land, we're going to go to Mombasa. We have Dr. George Wachiri, who is a real estate developer over there, who is also hosting us to his resort land. With just $2,000, you'll be able to get, piece of real estate entry fee on the land that he has over there. And all of us are subscribing to go build a resort land over there. So it's a lot of opportunities and investment and conversations while you be at that conference in Nairobi from 7th to 9th of this month.
Okay.
Next month.
Right. 7th to 9th of next month. It's happening in Nairobi. If someone wants to get in touch with you for maybe sponsorship, I don't know if you need sponsorship.
So of course we always need sponsorship. We need
you
to get.
Seem like you don't need sponsorship.
So we've got good sponsors. We thank God. We have good partners from Avocap. We have iCrails. We have Kenya Airways. We have Pan Pacific, where we're going to get W Marriott. But if you want to get in touch with us, go to our website. Like I said, it's www.diasporaafricaconference.com. And you can also send WhatsApp message to our hotline. It's +1 240 486 9514. I'll say it again. +1 240 486 9514. If you want to get more details about this conference, and if you're coming from Nigeria, your registration is free. You're going to enjoy the 3 days, the VIP events, the welcome event, and the gala night that we're going to have for the 3 days. Thank you.
Okay, Ambassador Eze, thank you so much. Prince, I call him Prince 7. Prince Godswill Edward, thank you so much for being part of the program. I urge everyone to be there. Like he said, some of us are going to march our way to Kenya, whether we are invited or not, because that's what we do. We'll be having this conversation with Ambassador Eze Chukwu, convener of the Diaspora Africa Conference, and Prince Godswill Edward, founder of Prince 7 Youth Development Initiative. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
Thank you.
And see you in Kenya.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
This is where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Aso Morning. It's been a wonderful one, getting to learn so much today. Rest assured, we'll be back tomorrow with so much more. Have yourself a productive day.